Well, Rhino and often confused Senator Lindsey Graham, well, making some bizarre statements over the weekend about the imminent release of the Department of Justice Inspector General's report on FISA abuse. Listen to this.
You got the Horowitz, the Inspector General report, that I think will be coming out in weeks, not days, not months. And I believe the Horowitz report is going to be ugly and damning regarding the Department of Justice handling of the Russian probe.
Now, where have we heard all of that before and heard that repeatedly? Well, back in April, Attorney General William Barr said the report could be released in May or June. Last month, the New York Times said the report was expected in the coming weeks. So it has turned out to be months and months, not weeks and days. Congressman John Ratcliffe says right after Labor Day. Congressman Doug Collins says later this fall. And now Lindsey Graham has added his voice to the chorus, and we'll just wait and see, if you don't mind, right here. Stephen Halper, who allegedly met with Trump aides as an FBI informant, asking a federal judge to dismiss a defamation lawsuit against him. Halper arguing that government agents have qualified immunity. A Russian-born academic claims she was smeared by Halper as part of a government conspiracy to bring down the Trump administration. So is he or is he not a government agent? Joining us tonight, The Hill's John Solomon, the leading investigative reporter on these stories of the efforts to overthrow the president, Spygate if you prefer. John, great to have you here.
Good to be with you, Lou.
Let's start with the Inspector General's report. Can you give us some guidance that would clear up what is this cacophony of misinformation?
Yeah, it feels like the thunderstorm that never arrives, despite the weatherman's prediction, right?
Yeah, right.
There's a real reason for the delay, and that is when we found through the FOIA process in mid-May, these new documents at the State Department. The IG was not aware of those contacts between Steele and Kathleen Kavlik at the State Department, and the subsequent conveying of information from the State Department to senior FBI officials, including one who now oversees the counterintelligence division. So that led to a whole new round of questioning. It led to the interview belatedly of Christopher Steele. And I think now, barring any new disclosures, the IG is on course sometime I've heard from early to mid-September to earliest week of October as the window that they're trying to hit. But I think they are essentially done with their investigating. But they did reopen the investigation specifically because of that and other information that came to light in May and June.
Inconvenient evidence, disturbing perhaps what had appeared to be a conclusive resolution. Now it looks like it might be quite something different and closer to the truth. It is almost, to me, it is extraordinary that that the Inspector General would not be aware of that introduction between the two. But I'm also one of those people who can't for the life of me understand why it takes so long in the Justice Department. I mean, if think about all of the instances in which the FBI has been so late in investigating, seemingly lacking the energy to do so aggressively. I mean, in this case of the attempt to overthrow the president, over a 3-year period, you could have created whatever evidence you wanted, destroyed whatever evidence you wanted, and they moved apace, a snail's pace. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, listen, I think I wrote a column a couple of weeks ago saying that Chris Wray was sort of at the forefront of this sort of obfuscation and delay.
I can confirm you did write that.
Yes, I did. And I wrote it specifically because there was a different time in history right after 9/11 where the FBI also made terrible mistakes. And they realized in order to reform the institution, they had to come clean about all the mistakes they had made, all the dots they had failed to connect. And they did. They put a lot of embarrassing stuff out because they knew that was right for the American people. The FBI right now is not doing that. It's slow walking this evidence. It requires threats of subpoena, surprise discoveries. Chris Wray would serve the American public and the FBI far better if he just got the truth on the table and allowed us to move past what was a political dirty trick carried out in our intelligence community. I fear that I have some confidence now for the first time that Attorney General Barr and other people around him are getting the sort of answers that we've been denied for a long time.
Well, that's encouraging. Let's turn to your most recent talking with Mifsud's attorney, Joseph Mifsud, who has been in Communicado, and who obviously, based on your reporting, has a pretty good understanding of the types of the character of the people from the FBI, the Justice Department, intelligence agencies that he would be dealing with. He seems to have taken considerable steps to inoculate himself.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you know, Mifsud's been called by Mueller a guy with a lot of Russian contacts who lied to us, but Mueller didn't indict him. The only person who lied to Mueller that didn't get indicted. And you have to ask the question, why didn't he get indicted? His lawyer offers a very plausible explanation. Now, we need to see the proof to back this up, and he's providing that proof now to John Durham, Bill Barr's handpicked prosecutor, and to multiple congressional committees, including Lindsey Graham's committee. He says he can show that his client, Mifsud, was a longtime Western intelligence collaborator who was tasked specifically with reaching out to Papadopoulos and making connections for him in Russia. If that's true, the beginning of the origins of the Russia case was a setup. It was a ruse from the beginning, a political dirty trick. We need to get to the bottom of that, but there's some new evidence that's starting to emerge there.
You know, you've twice used the expression dirty trick here tonight, John. This to me, I have to say, this was an effort to stop Donald Trump from being elected president. It was an effort to overthrow his presidency. I think that the evidence is clear in that conclusion. It's not one that I will try to qualify or in any way equivocate. It rises to me, and I want to understand your use of the expression "dirty trick." It rises to me so much to a much higher and far more grievous crime than dirty trick.
I agree. I think it will get there. I like to always stay on the side before all the facts are out.
You're a good man.
Give a benefit of where things are. We saw what the country looked like in 2017 when we jumped to assumptions about Trump and Russia. So I want to wait till all the facts are out there. But I will say this. It's irrefutable that Hillary Clinton managed to get her opposition researcher inside the FBI and start this whole investigation. I think where we're headed next is emergence of very strong evidence that the FBI knowingly and willfully misled the FISA court, and that the U.S. intelligence agencies in a larger capacity beyond the FBI may also have been involved in what Bill Barr calls political surveillance. That's a term I've never heard before. He chooses his words carefully. The term political surveillance could become very famous this fall.
Yeah, political surveillance, and I hope he does with that what he did with surveillance itself. And returns us to Anglo-Saxon words that are so much clearer, like spying.
That's
John
right.
Solomon, great to have you with us as always. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.